So we should really uh, thank our mother for being our mother, and at the same time, we should also make them feel that we are lucky enough, we are really blessed to have them as our mother. So happy Mother's Day. Convey my greetings and message to all your lovely dear mother, and then share the same emotion and feeling with your friends and the other family members so that they can also wish their mother a happy Mother's Day. So are we ready to start? Are we all geared up? Right? So how many of you are very much excited to come up with your presentation? So I have seen your presentations. You have posted it, like a couple of you have emailed it, a couple of you have posted it in the classroom. So I'm really excited the way you people are going to give your presentation. So who is going to be the first? Let us start today's session with great energy, with lots of positivity, and let us learn a lot. All right. So who would be the first one to share the presentation? All right. So always we have the habit of sharing the things like alphabetically A, B, C, D. But instead of doing it alphabetically, let us go in a reverse order. All right. So S will come first, then comes T, then comes L, and lastly Deepika. Is it okay with everyone? Quickly in the chat box. I'm waiting for your responses. So if it is okay, let us discuss this. Let us know whether you all are ready. So, what is your opinion? Okay, so fair enough. Deepika says it's all right with her. So, Sunanda, are you ready with your presentation? I think I have already uploaded your presentation. So, let me open it for you so that you can start your presentation. Right, I think this is your presentation. Okay.
Good morning, ma'am.
Very good morning.
As I am a chemistry student, I just want to share some secrets and little minute tips of chemistry. So today I came up with the topic of cosmetic chemistry. While coming to this topic, we go with the definition, introduction, commonly used products uh, uh, which are chemically compounds mixed, and last coming to the conclusion. Now go with the definition. Ma'am, next slide. Yeah, importance of chemistry. Chemistry is a very important because everything we do is chemistry. Even we sit or standing, everything is happening in our body through chemistry or chemicals. If we sit, some chemical reactions happen in our body. If we stand, some chemical reactions happen in our body. If we eat, if we breathe, if we talk, what we do, everything happens through chemicals or chemical reactions in our body. Uh, all matter is made up of chemicals. While coming to this cosmetics, ma'am, any particle intended to apply human body for cleaning. Uh, uh, Firstly, we have to know about this cosmetics in chemicals. Every cosmetics is made up of some toxic or friendly chemicals. Some are useful and some are toxic. But knowingly or unknowingly, we are using these cosmetics. Now I want to present that uh, cosmetics we are using, but some are helpful, but some are no unknowingly we are going through the bad way. It affects on us, but we don't ignore but we don't know what is happening while using those cosmetics. uh, While coming to the daily uses of products, we are using fragrances. Fragrances means perfumes, talcs, some different ways of fragrances items we are using. In those, they are basically made up with petroleum and natural raw materials. Natural raw materials are nothing but rose waters that isn't do any uh, chemical, that isn't made up of any chemicals, and there is no side effect with that. But coming to the petroleum, there is a little minute side effects is happening in those ingredients. While coming to the soaps are 100, not on 100%, 95% of having toxic ingredients. Firstly, coming to trichosan, that is mainly a toxic ingredient. Dicozin and parabens are also toxic ingredients, so which are we don't know that we are using toxic ingredients. The company's names are having Rexona, Lux, or something like that. They are showing an advertisement, a popular advertisement on TVs or hoardings outside. We are saying that that is good. We go with that. It will helps to our body, or it will improves our skin glow or something else. But these soaps are contain some toxic materials. While coming to the lipsticks are made up of some toxic materials. Glycol is also a toxic material, and lid mineral oil. Mineral oil is good. Mineral oil is good for lips. Charcoal, tar is these all are toxic materials which includes in lipsticks. It will include all brands of lipsticks, but we don't know what type of chemicals are including in those lipsticks. If they have a good branded company name, we go with that, like Lakme, uh, Revlon, Huda Beauty. If we have that brand on a lipstick, we go with that. We don't even care for the cost of the lipstick. But we don't know what is that is that costly that costly lipstick is also having some more toxic ingredients in the composition. While coming to the toothpaste is also a toxic ingredient. Uh, some are having some are good for our teeth enamel, and some are literally too bad. While coming to the good ingredients, tricho trichoclosan, antibacterial, which helps to our lips and which helps to our mouth, and which is used for cleaning our mouth and teeth even. While linked to concerns over antibacterial, antibiotic, some are more toxic ingredients are mixing in this toothpaste, but we don't know what is mixing in those. If we have a nice brand name is showing on the label of that toothpaste, we go with that and we are using. But some are helpful. Some toxics are good, and some toxics are keep they are taking us to the bad way. But overusing of the toxic ingredients, finally we are having the results like in fragrances. If we go with perfumes, we have a black turned skin, and we are going with these soaps. I'm not saying that every product having toxic, but some are having okay, some are having that little bit of what is that, low priced products are having more toxic than costliest. um, toothpaste is morely affects on us, but we don't know. If we go with the low cost toothpaste, it having a more toxic ingredients included in it. Over usage of that more toxic ingredients leads to losses of our teeth. Uh, After breaking of our teeth, we can check easily. Our teeth don't have a particular what is that? Particular shape, particular size. It doesn't have a proper teeth like before. So not tattoos. If we go with mehendi, even if we have keeping a bindi to our face, um, it sticks to our face. It's sticking means that sticky gum material having some pH. Of course, that if we go with a branded, it is having a little toxic. It doesn't do any bad thing to us. If we go with a low brand, it having more toxic. It comes like a black or white shaded spot on the face, like even our bindi maintains some pH. Or not only that, if we go with this cosmetics, or if we go with any other mechanism in our body, in our surroundings, in our what is around us, it is all happening about chemistry and chemicals. While coming to the conclusion, the dermal is worse than oral. What I have to say is, we doesn't know what is happening around us, or what is happening to us while using this. After more uses of this, we can affected by that. And if we go to any checkup or any hospitals, then we can realize that we are more affected by this product, by that product. Then we strictly stopping using of that product. Now, while coming to conclusion, as we clean and clear observation of these uses of products, some products are very helpful. If we are getting pimples on our face, the doctor suggested some treatment or suggested some ointments, creams, face washes. That is helpful to cure our pimples. That is helpful and friendly chemicals. And if we go with that toxic and toxicity material or chemical compounds, it takes some bad bad composition, and it brings we don't know what is happening, but it brings some toxicity to our body. Not only that particular area, it goes to that another way, and it kills and spoils the other organs. Thank you, ma'am.
Wonderful, very good, excellent. Kudos to you, dear. You have really presented very well. I must congratulate you because there are certain things which I really want you to improve, and you have to improvise when you are talking about improving your pronunciation or improving your communication. But I'm not going to share it here. I do have your email address. Each one of you will receive personal comments on your email ID. Is that okay with everyone? So that you will come to know what are the areas where you have to really work out, what are the things that you have to exercise upon if you really want to speak fluently with proper stops, pauses, where you have to stop, where you have to continue, where you have to go ahead. All right. So no comments would be shared over here. I am going to write an email to each one of you. By tomorrow, you all are going to receive my comments. All right. So next, it is, I believe, Tamil. So I am going to present Tamil's presentation so that she can speak and present her opinion, which is related to online education. So the platform is open to present your thoughts and your opinion.
Yeah, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. My topic is online education. Can you shift the slide, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Yeah. What is the reason for online education now? Due to COVID pandemic, the entire education system what we are having was shifted to online education. But this is the only solution in this pandemic. But do you think the online education is really effective? And my answer is no, because we may not have the same interaction with teachers that the traditional education system is giving to us. But online education has also have some advantages and disadvantages too. Slide, can you change slide one? Yeah. Advantages of online education: we can access we can access the education where we are sitting. For example, I'm taking the business communication course by sitting at home. We need not go to any education system or any schools to have this course, and it is cost effective also. Compared to education system, the online education cost is very low, and by sitting at one place I can access the knowledge all over the world, and it saves the times too. And online education have some disadvantages also. um, we may not have the same interaction with the teachers what we are getting from traditional education system. And other reason is also a network issue. Everyone may not have the same network with a high speed network connection. So some may not have a proper network, so they may lose the knowledge what they are getting from the courses, and it increases the screen time. We are continuously watching the screen for a long time. It also affects our mental health. And the online education may not be suitable for practical classes, because we have to do it practically, not through the online education. And overall, a conclusion: online education is the only solution for in this pandemic, ma'am. And thank you.
Wonderful, excellent, well managed in time. I appreciate your efforts. Very well done. So, may I request now Miss Lavanya to present her opinion? And here I present your presentation, dear. So, the next participant is
Ma'am?
Miss Lavanya, M. Lavanya, presenting her presentation. Yes, please.
Hey everyone. Today I'm gonna present about mental health. So the reason I've chosen this mental health, the topic. So during this time, I mean during pandemic, so the mental health is affected badly. So I thought of topic, and so what is mental health? Can you move on to the next slide? Hello.
Need to wait for a couple of
So
seconds
mental health.
because your email is a bit little heavy. So therefore, the file will take some time to read and then to open. All right. You may continue, dear.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, ma'am. So mental health refers to cognitive behavior and emotion. So it is mental health is all about how people think, feel, and behave and act. So it's all about the inner feeling of a the mental health. It affect daily living relationship, and also it is it also affect the physical health. So we can say that it is as in. Ma'am?
It's not running over here, though I have moved it to the second one. Just a minute. Let me help you out. The images that you have used are heavier ones, right? So it will take time to open up. Just a minute. Let it read, then you can start.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is once again a lesson for all of us. The images that we are using should be comfortable ones. So for example, when we talk about the pixel, yes, of course, the pixel should be good, but heavy files will take time to open. So keep the size of the image a convenient one so that it becomes easy for you to present whenever you are presenting online. So would you like to be on second slide or on to the third slide, Lavanya?
Third,
Should I
ma'am.
move to third slide? All right. Okay. So here
No,
comes
ma'am.
the
Let this slide
let, slide two.
negative effects of mental.
Okay. The negative
No,
effects
ma'am. It's
of mental.
slide 3, I think.
Yes, I have presented slide
Mental
three.
health. Yes, ma'am. We'll see about the negative effects of mental health. So, what are the effects which are which are affecting mental health, ma'am? Is it causes severe emotional behavior and physical health problems. So, as we know, it's all about the inner feeling and it's all about how and behave. So it if the health is affected, it causes mainly this kind of problems and other like cancer, heart attack, all those, and it creates unhappiness and decreased enjoyment of life. So also family conflicts and all other related problems, ma'am. It's so it is because we the person will not be in a position his or her stress in their life. So and mental health is important in every stage of life. So if it is untreated, so these are the problems causes. Ma'am, next slide. So we'll see the positive effects of mental health. So if mental these are is being resilient and able to cope. So if the if being resilient and able to the person will be in a position to face the difficult situations, and he will be she will be able to control his or her feeling, and she'll be able to control every emotions, and she'll be confident to face the situations whatever the challenges in her life, being about ourselves. So most important thing is that first we have to feel good, confident, and we should treat ourselves so we should think and feel good about ourselves. And so if we are in that position, so and treat others in a good way. And for next point is managing and expressing your emotions. So it is said that what is kept inside also it causes so many mental illness. So if health is in a positive side, so he or she will be able to manage his or her emotions, feelings. The last point is building and maintaining. So if the person will be in a position to build a very good relationship and with others. So I would like to conclude. Mental health is very important in this, not only in this situation, in every it shouldn't be treated very lightly, and it should be taken care of. Thank you all.
Good. I really appreciate the way you have presented. Kudos to you too. Now, the final contestant of today's this activity is Ms. Deepika, and let me show up her slide too, so that it becomes easy to present. So, Deepika, be ready with your speech or the presentation. Here I'm going to show your slide. And I think you are speaking on the great women. Being the Mother's Day, you have chosen one of the best topics that you could convey to all the women. Wonderful. So I'm keen to hear from you. Yes, please.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning to all. Happy
Good
Mother's Day
morning.
to all. Is I start my presentation on greatest Indian women in science. Like most professions in India, the field of science is very much male dominated. When asked to name an Indian scientist, most of us can only think of APJ Abdul Kalam or Srinivas Ramanujan. It's not often that someone names as Indian women scientists. So as you can see the slide, William Whewell coined scientist in 1833. Science originally came from Latin word scientia, which meant knowledge or experience. It is the old French meaning knowledge, learning, application, and a corpus of human knowledge. We can see many genius Indian women scientists in STEM. So these are the 11 Indian women scientists. The new STEM chairs are named after them. Uh, why I have chosen the topic here means India's rich history is replete with the examples of several great scientists who have brought immense pride to the nation. Among them, there are several women scientists who have contributed significantly to various disciplines of science. I conclude their lives are role models for all girls who aspire to make a mark in the field of science and technology. Thank you all.
I think again the problem is with the pictures, the weight of the pictures, the heaviness on the picture. So therefore, I see that your presentation is of somewhere around 4 MB, and that is the reason the slides are taking time to get opened up. No worries, no problem at all. So I am anyways going to show up the presentation that is presented by you today, and I should really say that we often ignore people who are not famous. Say, for example, if somebody is famous, we know it. We know the actors and actresses. We know the singers, dancers, everyone who is in the world of name and fame. But of course, there are millions of people who are working day and night, but not for name and fame. And probably that is the reason why, though they are working day and night, though they have spent their years and ages in order to improve the humanity or the human life, we don't even remember their name, and that is the reason we do not know to whom to congratulate, to whom to offer our gratitude, and how can we really prove that we value them. All right. So let me quickly run through what Deepika has shared with us. She says that there is an acronym of science which means systematic, comprehensive investigation and exploration of nature, causes, and its effect. So, in this, she had presented that there are certain women who are known not only in India but globally. Their names are very much famous. And what she did is she has beautifully used an acronym which talks about the STEM. STEM talks about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. When we talk about the STEM, there are 11 people whom she has identified, and she has put up in one particular slide to show that these are the 11 famous women personalities whom we must always celebrate, remember, congratulate, and always be thankful because they are the ones who have created and generated lots of positivity with their work in science and technology. Wonderful, Deepika. I am going to share all these slides with each one of you so that you can go through what others have presented. All right. So thank you, each one of you, for your active participation. I must congratulate each one who has taken up time in preparing these slides, in preparing the content, in presenting these information with all of us. Kudos to the team and my power pose to each one of you. All the best and well done. So talking about today's presentation, or when we talk about today's class, what are we going to discuss? As we have discussed about presentation, we understood that whenever we talk about presentation, the basic thing that we should keep in our mind is that presentation comes with how well you are going to design and prepare your content. Once when your content is well drafted and well narrated, then it becomes much easier for you to prepare your speech, to prepare your information that you would like to deliver to the audience, and finally comes the way you're going to deliver it. Now, in today's class, before I enter into the nitty-gritties of presentation, I want you all to understand that the message that I am sharing right now is very, very important, and you all should make a note of it. Whenever we talk about presentation, there is some piece of information. There are certain information that we want to convey to our audience. Now, the information or the message that we convey are divided into 4 different categories. 1, positive. Second, negative. Third, persuasive. And fourth, routine. Now, always keep this in your mind that whatever the presentation that you're going to display, or whatever the presentation that you are going to share with others, each presentation, probably even in each presentation, there could be certain information wherein the message that you are sharing is positive. The information that you are sharing is either negative or persuasive, and sometimes they are part and parcel of our day-to-day life, the routine activities. So when we talk about any presentation, and probably when you are working on your content, please remember, whenever we talk about content, in yesterday's class, we have very clearly discussed what, why, how. These 4 questions: what is it that I'm going to present? Why should I present it? And how am I going to present it in an effective manner? Will include a couple of more things, such as what is in my content. Now, inside the content, in the interior of your content, what is it that you are willing to convey? Is it related to positive information? If it is related to positive information, how are you going to convey it to the audience? Your body language will be loud, your voice would be loud, and there will be a happy gesture, there will be a happy posture, there will be a happy expression even on your face. But the moment the information that you are sharing is alarming one, is going to create and build up anxiety or nervousness in the mind of the audience, always remember, the negative information that you're going to share should be always in a soft way. The voice of yours should be soft. The body language that you're going to pose or present should be a gentle one. And even the voice that you are going to convey and communicate should not be louder, should be softer one. When we talk about persuasive, now the persuasive are those kind of messages wherein you know that the information that you're going to share is negative. The information that you are sharing is negative. With this negative piece of information, you are not at all happy to communicate or share negative, but you know that the challenges that are there that you are going to display through negative can be eradicated, can be eliminated the person can overcome it by just working on their few skills. So what are we going to do? From negative, we are going to convert the negative thought into a positive action. For this kind of information, whenever you are twisting, wherever you are tweaking, wherever you are trying to gently shift the message from negative to positive, we call it as persuasive. Why do we call it as persuasive? Because you are trying to change the mindset of the audience. You're going to understand the mindset of the audience, and then you try to work out on their mindset. So, for example, that is the reason I asked you all to give your presentation. When we look into the presentation of Deepika, when we look into the presentation of Miss Sunanda, both of them, they were talking about the negative impact or the negative mindset or the information that is not in totality, not in entirety. And how can we convert from that negative to positivity? So that kind of information then when we share in our presentation, we call it as persuasive. Now, in general, we all are dealing with certain activities which are part and parcel of our life. Say, for example, when I talk about the information that is shared by Miss Tamil, as well as the information that is stated by Miss Lavanya, mental health or the disturbances that we are facing during the pandemic time is really alarming one. And we all understand how we should try to identify these alarms, these red flags, when to whistle blow and when to overcome these. So the routine activities which are very well presented by Tamil as well as I believe Lavanya, we should also understand that how do we present it. So please understand the content is very important, and inside the content you have to identify the kind of information that you're going to share. Always remember, the information that we share is categorized into four different categories. Category 1 talks about the positive, category 2 talks about negative, category 3 talks about persuasive, and category 4 talks about routine. So when we talk about all these four different categories, it is equally important for us to know how do we present these four different categories of messages. So when we talk about these different categories, let us understand visually how can we present them. Because whenever we talk about good presentation, as I said, even in my last class, most of the time you are going to give presentation without any aid. You may not be using any aid. You may orally presenting. You will be presenting your thoughts. You are going to present your information. You are going to share lots and loads of information orally, wherein there are no aids at all. But in case if we are talking about aid, in case if we are talking about technology, how are we going to use those pieces and how are we going to embed them in our presentation so that we can give a wonderful and fantastic presentation to hook the audience, to understand and fulfill their needs, to make them feel comfortable and convenient to hear to us, to listen to us, and accordingly to learn from our experiences that we are going to share with them. So moving ahead, when we talk about presentation, so let us move towards the fourth part, towards the fourth category, that is how can we talk about effective presentation, particularly using the technology. There are three major elements. There are three major elements which we all have to work out. The first is vocal technique. Wherever we are, in whatever situation we are, we should know as a presentator, people will focus more on your voice than on your slides. So if you have command over your voice, it will do miracles. So please focus on your voice. Whether you are having the clarity in tone, whether you are clear in articulation of your thoughts or not, matters a lot. If there is a sentence in my mind, can I display the sentence? Can I utter the sentence without any hitch, without any disturbance, or without any dilemma? If I do so, my presentation, that is, my piece of information, will be very easily interpreted by my audience. If I find difficulty in displaying my thoughts in a way, the way I'm going to present my speech, it becomes difficult for the audience to interpret. So, work out on loudness, because when you are loud, no one will get distracted. When you're very soft, automatically people will get time to talk, to discuss, to get distracted. So work out on the loudness of your voice. The second is pitch. Are you too fast or are you too slow? Can you moderate your pitch? Of course, you have to moderate it. If you are too fast, every word that you're going to utter cannot be registered in the memory box of the listener. Similarly, if you are too slow, connecting one sentence with the other becomes difficult for the listener to understand and to connect. So therefore, please make sure that neither you are too fast nor you are too slow. The pitch should be a moderate one with a moderate rate of speed, and then pauses. Where are you going to pause? When are you going to take a pause? Are you taking pause at the right time or not? These all matters a lot. And in order to take a pause, or in order to make people understand the importance of pause, do rehearse your presentation. If you are rehearsing your presentation, it is going to help a lot. So I stop here. I want a quick feedback from each one of you. What do you think your presentation was? Do you think that your presentation was excellent, good, average, or can be improvised? Very quick feedback from each one of you. I am going to open for you all to speak now. Quickly, from the last, from the one who have presented the first, they are going to now give their opinion at the end. All right. So Deepika was last. So let us hear from Deepika, then Lavanya, then Tamil, and then Sunanda. All right. So Deepika, what is your opinion related to your presentation?
Ma'am, I think it was okay, good. Why? Because when I'm presenting, the slides are changing, so that's a matter. I think I'm giving it as good, not as an excellent.
So Deepika marked herself as good, and she, yes, of course, technology. This is one of the major reason why we all need to understand whenever we talk about our presentation. And then one of the best thing which I have seen Deepika doing is at over here, the place where I was trying to present her presentation, that was not changing at all. Whereas the place where Deepika was, her slides were running faster. So there was a mismatch between the information that was shared and the information that was getting conveyed. But Deepika did a wonderful job by not stopping in between. She did not discontinue. What was the best part? She went on with the flow of her presentation. That is the reason why I appreciate each one of you, because I have seen in a very short period of time, you were able to portray all the problems that I wanted to highlight in today's session. Thank you, Deepika, and that was a great effort by your end. So, Lavanya, what is your take? Do you think that your presentation was excellent, good, average, or to be improvised?
Uh,
Yes, Lavanya.
I feel it should be improvised, ma'am.
Okay. So Lavanya believes that it has to be improvised. Where are the parts? Where do you think that these are the areas where I have to really work out? Was that on content? Was that on communication? Because here I can't judge your confidence. So therefore, let us work out
Both,
on these
ma'am.
two. Okay. So content as well as communication is, or I should say, are the areas in which, like Lavanya believes that she needs to improvise herself. Excellent, wonderful, like comment to give to oneself, because the more we are going to improve ourselves, better we are going to become as performant. But in fact, I must say that Lavanya, you have taken a couple of things in your mind. You were presenting your slides based on the time limit that I have shared. You were bound with the time limit. You were very specific to what you wanted to convey. It could be, though it could not be measured, though it could not be well achieved, but still it was realistic and time bound. I really appreciate the efforts that you have put. Very good. So, Tamil, what is your opinion? What is your take on your presentation here?
Ma'am, and according to me, the audience should give the feedback. The audience should give the feedback, ma'am.
Okay.
If you ask me, I can be
Okay. So
improvised.
as a presentator, can we give feedback to oneself? So for example, when Neeru is talking, can Neeru judge her own presentation skill, and can she give a feedback to herself? Of course she can do, because not to forget, when you give a presentation, you become judgmental. You know where you have lacked, you know what you have prepared, because others may not be knowing the content that you have prepared, isn't it, dear? You're presenting in front of audience, and audience will only know what you have presented. But behind the screen, when I talk about the preparation, when I talk about the kind of presentation that your mind was thinking, did that match up with what you have presented? Yes or no? If it is
Yes,
yes, mark yourself as excellent or good, and then accordingly you can present. Yes, dear.
yes, ma'am. Whatever I thought to convey, I had conveyed, ma'am.
So you are going to convey yourself as like excellent one, the good one you have presented. Kudos to you, dear. Very good. So the last participant, Sunanda, I see her. She could not join, so therefore we will park her opinion for the next part. So let us move ahead. So once when we are talking about these, I hope each one of you are going to watch the recording of this, and then do share your opinion related to what you have presented. So the moment once when we are talking about presentation, and the moment once when we are talking about sharing our information, voice matters a lot. But apart from voice, what are the other two elements? We should know about our body language. Knowing about our body language will help a lot, because we need to understand that we are connecting with our audience only with the help of our body language. So, for example, when you see me presenting, I don't even look at my slide when I am presenting something, because I should know what I wanted to convey to all the participants through my slide. Unless and until I don't have to change my slide, I don't even look at it. Why? Because these are the slides that are prepared by me. These are the slides that I prepared not for myself but for my audience. The big challenge, or if you ask me, the most important thing that every member, whosoever is going to present, must remember. Generally, when you are stuck with your presentation where technology fails, I often see people failing. They say that as I cannot run my slide, I will not be able to present my presentation. Did you prepare the slide for yourself? No. If you're thinking that you are preparing the slide to keep the things in your memory box, then switch this thought. Instead of using the presentation as a slide form, you better use flashcards or note cards. Flashcards or note cards or those stickies, those small notes that we always carry whenever we have to present something, because that will help you to look, to remember, to recall what exactly you wanted to convey. Always remember, whosoever are listening to this particular training session today, the key to success to become a good to become a good presentation or to give a wonderful presentation is: point one, you are preparing slides to connect the thought of audience, to hook up with the thought of audience. If you are thinking that slides are meant for you to present, you are wrong. You are presenting your piece of content, and when you are presenting your piece of content, your complete focus should be on the audience. And when I talk about having the complete focus on audience, what I'm trying to say is, remember, there can be different ways of the sitting arrangement of the audience. Sometimes you may be asked to stand in front of a huge crowd. There could be 100 odd people sitting in the room where you are going to present. Then remember, change the position of yours from a podium or from a lectern and stand at a place where you can see or you can view all the people of the hall. And when you are standing in the middle, don't fix your eye contact with only one single individual. Try to move it from one end of the room to the other end of the room. If you are giving presentation in a room where the arrangement is in U shape, always remember, again, from one corner to other corner, and from that corner to the other corner. What I'm trying to say is left to right, right to left. If you remember this, it becomes easy for you to connect with your audience. Please remember, gestures and posture matter a lot. If you stand in front of your lectern, the desk that is there, we call it as a podium or we call it as a lectern. So if there is a lectern from where you're going to give the lecture, or if you're standing behind the podium and then from there, if you keep on changing the slide, people will find disconnected between you and what you are going to present, because they cannot see your body language. And as your body language is hidden, they will find it difficult to connect. So please remember, move. But when I'm talking about move, that is the third element. What should be the space? Now, you should not move leaving behind your audience. Say, for example, there are 10 rows of audience. You cannot stand in between, say, for example, third or fourth row, because the moment you are standing in between the third and fourth row, the audience who are sitting in first, second, they lose your eye contact. So always remember, this is very, very important. I have seen many good presenters who are presenting or who had presented in the past. When they present, they move. They say that I love to mingle with my audience. Of course, you can mingle up, but mingling doesn't mean walking in between the audience and then showing your back to them by missing the eye contact. This should be eliminated, and this has to be eliminated. Avoid. So remember the three golden rules whenever you are giving the presentation. As a presentation, there are three elements of giving the best presentation and related to the style. Work out on the voice, work out on the body language, and do work on the space. So can you see, everyone? That is the big challenge. That is the big question that you must ask each and every time whenever you are giving the presentation. So moving ahead, when we talk about presentation, creating effective visual aids again matters a lot. So how do we create that empathetic visual aids? Let us understand. So whenever we talk about the visual aids, what do we understand by visual aids? Which I can see. So when I talk about the things that I can see, I'm talking about the slide. I may be talking about the pictures that I'm willing to display. Probably I am talking about the video that I'm going to display, or maybe some of the image that I want to display in front of my audience. Remember, whenever we are using any visual aids, we are enhancing the understanding level of the audience. It is not to uh, create the aha moment in the audience that look what a beautiful image it is. No, rather you are trying to make audience understand exactly your thought should run into their mind what you want to convey. The interpretation should not change. Interpretation should remain same in the mind of the audience as well as in the mind of the presenter. So add variety, add that ingredient so that the thing that you are trying to cook, what is it that you are trying to cook? You're trying to cook a story. As I said, all the presentation are based on the story that you want to convey. So how are you going to cook that story? How are you going to present that story? What are the extra ingredient, that aroma that you're going to add on, so that people can feel, people can understand, people can say that yes, this is what I wanted to learn. This is what I wanted to listen. This is what I was keenly waiting for, that is shared by the speaker. And then that you can claim that yes, these all are supportive documents that I am willing to share, and that will create a long lasting impact in the mind of the audience. So, moving ahead, what are the different types of visual aids that we can use and when do we use it? This is again very important. We cannot use all the visual aids every now and then. They do have some meaning. Now, you can see whenever we talk about tables, we use tables when we have a huge data, and when we want to limit the data in different class intervals, or when we want to compare the data of one particular organization with that of other, one student's performance versus other student performance, one institutional performance versus other institutions performance, we can use tables. Always remember, tables can be single information based table or multiple information based table. You can see here it could be related to one single topic called as food habit, but the food habit could be divided into two subcategories, that is vegetarian and non-vegetarian. And again in that vegetarian, I divided that into two subcategories: age, that is less than 20 or equal to 20 or more than 20. Similarly under the non-vegetarian. So now at the x-axis as well as at the y-axis, you can see the different information that we can share. Now, this table will help you understand that even the boys, they are categorized into two different segments. One, the day scholars, and the other one who are living in hostel, the one who are the hostel dwellers. Similarly, the girls who are the day scholars and the hostel dwellers. So what I'm trying to present over here is wherein you have multiple objects to present and where the data is humongous, lots and lots of data. When we are talking about the information that we want to really crisp and present it in a lucid manner, do use tables to present your piece of presentation. That will create a good impact on the audience mind. Whenever we talk about percentages, always remember the slide that we should use or the technique of presenting the percentage should be with the pie chart. Not to use percentage in tabular form, always use the pie chart. Now the pie charts are coming in different form. It could be 3D pie chart, it could be donut based pie chart, it could be a pie chart with only one single circle divided into different segments, or you can break them into pieces, and then you can segregate them. And when you use the animation, each piece will zoom out and zoom in. Similarly, when you tap, like tap, or when you are using the mouse, you can create that animated impact to make the audience understand what you want to present. Always remember, percentages are always advised to be present in the form of the pie chart. The next is, whenever we are talking about the ups and downs, whenever we are talking about increase and decrease, whenever we are talking about something which is continuously going on, where the information is continuously flowing, then we use such kind of graph, which is called as line graph. Now, the line graph will display the ups and downs, the increase and decrease, the kind of impact that is having on each and every individual. So you can show this with the help of the line graph. You can talk about the quiz. You can talk about the marks that are obtained by the student, or you can talk about the performance day. So there can be different ways, different times wherein you can use the line graph. But remember, whenever you are using line graph, there is only one single activity and its impact in the various times. Say, for example, one single activity. If I talk about the activity, let me give you an example to make you all understand. Share market. Now, there can be different values of Sensex. At 9:30, the share market, when it opens, the value may vary. At 10 o'clock, the value may vary. At 11 o'clock, the value may vary. At 12 noon, the value may vary. At 2 onwards, because the market closes at 3:30. So therefore, from 2 onwards, you will see slight changes in the market value. And so therefore, remember, when we are talking about single activity, and when we are matching, or when we are viewing, when we are trying to understand what is the impact of that one single activity in the whole day process, then do we use the line graph. Similarly, when we are talking about the other aids, here is a very common one, which each one of you might have studied when you were talking about economics. So when you might have studied economics in your class 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, even during your graduation, many of you might have taken up the subject like commerce, in which economics is part of it. So you might be using this to talk about two different components and then comparing the two different components. All right. This is the pyramid way of presenting the information. When we match two different components and then it's fall or high, then we use the pyramid style. The next one, when we are comparing the activities with multiple other ingredients. So for example, I don't know how many of you watch IPL match, but after the performance of one team, they use the second line graph to display the consecutive performance of the other team. So this is again a line graph, but with multiple objects and multiple activities. This is again used to compare two different. The flow charts, a common thing which each one of you do know about it, isn't it? How do we use the flow chart? Now the flow charts are very important when you are talking about processes. So for example, when I talk about today's presentation, in today's presentation, Sunanda was talking about cosmetic chemistry. And in that cosmetic chemistry, she was talking about the toxics. She was talking about the different chemical and its reaction. So instead of using a sentence, if she could display its impact through a flow chart, when it would be toxic and when we can consider it as intoxic. Say, for example, when we talk about the pH level, when do we consider it as a toxic element? When do we consider it as an intoxic element? If that could be displayed with the help of flowchart, then again, it will do wonders and miracle. So, know when do we use the flowchart. Similarly, there can be hierarchical charts. The hierarchical charts are used in every organization, even in family. Now, let me display something which can give you a good example of the hierarchy. Now, you may talk about your family background, your great-great-grandfather, how many kids he had, then how many kids your great-grandfather was blessed with, What about your grandfather? What about your father? And then even right now, if any of your sibling is married, what about them? How many kids they are blessed with? So all these can be displayed through hierarchical. This is also called as timeline chart, wherein you're talking about the timeline from when to what period they were alive, and then what about the next generation or the next generation till generation one. So please remember, whenever we are displaying the uh, the life or time or the position, we do use the charts which is called as hierarchical chart, which could be related to timeline, which could be related to the positions that each person holds. All right. Now this is very common one, which we all have studied when we were learning mathematics, when we were dealing with statistics. Whenever you are comparing with the different components, one single individual. Say, for example, if I'm talking about Neeru has studied English, Hindi, Telugu, mathematics, science, and social studies. In all these 6 subjects, her performance will not be same. There will be different marks obtained by Neeru in different subjects. Similarly, Miss Deepika might have obtained different marks in different subjects. Miss Lavanya might have obtained different marks in different subjects. Miss Tamil has scored different marks in different subjects. Similarly, Miss Sunanda could score different marks in different subjects. So when we use the different bars to display what is it when compared to the other bar, the component talks about the different subject, the individual performances can be evaluated, and then there can be multiple of such bars on one single chart. So this will help us to talk about the comparison of not only personal but also with the other. So do include bar graph whenever you are talking about comparison. Again, let me take up the example of uh, one of the presentations that were made today. When I talk about Sunanda's presentation, she was talking about comparing the different cosmetic soaps, the toilet soap that we use. So she could have used the total population that is using Lux or Medimix or maybe Dettol or Lifebuoy, and then the different places where people use the different kinds of soaps. So this could have given a proper image in the mind of the audience. It becomes very difficult for the audience to recall the words. Do you remember Albert Mehrabian's philosophy? If you can remember, can you quickly chat and can you quickly give me the number? What was the total number of division that he had done? Body language. When he said the body language, of course, it was the maximum. But apart from that, he made a very clear picture that whenever we talk about words, it is very less when compared to the images. So audience will hook up with images for a long period of time. They can understand even the image in a better way when compared to words. Rather recalling the words, it becomes easy for them to interpret through images. So do use images, do use graph, do use picture, but again and again I say that whenever you are using the visual aids, it doesn't mean that you can use all the visual aids for any kind of presentation. For different presentation, you have to use different visual aids. And what are those different visual aids? That is what I'm trying to make you all understand. So if you can remember, it is 7 is to 38 is to 55. Albert Mehrabian rightly stated that if you are giving a wonderful presentation, after a week when you go to the same audience and when you try them to recall, and when you do this experiment, you will see that 7% of the information that is shared by you could be recalled by the audience or will be recalled by the audience. Whatever you are graphically presenting, visually presenting through pictures, through slide, or through the images, 38% of it will be properly recalled and then will be delivered. And whatever we talk about the body language, please remember the smile that you are having, the gesture that you are going to pose, the posture that you are going to display, the loudness of your voice, the intonation of your voice, all these are part and parcel of your body language. All these will create a right impact, and that will be 55%. So whenever we are talking about presentation, remember, only body language, will it create an impact? No. Only visual aids, will it create the impact? No. Only your voice or the words that you're going to use, will that create the impact? No. We need to understand, we need to give our 100%. And 100% is what? Right words, right images, and right body language. 7 plus 38 plus 55. That is the composition that we are talking about. And that is what is expected even from your audience when you give the presentation. So moving ahead, whenever you are using any slide, always remember the presentation that you are going to display. I reiterate, it can be a video, it can be one image, it can be multiple images in the form of slide, it could be your action, or maybe a small skit, maybe a small story. All these are just supplementary. You cannot consider them as presentation. They are only helping you to give your content or to present your content in an empathetic manner. To emphasize on is what your content is going to present. These all are supplementary. So remember, outlining your main point, displaying your main point, hooking the audience with your main point matters a lot. And finally, you should always see that whatever aid that you have used, be it a PowerPoint presentation or video or any kind of other aid, could be a diagram, could be some kind of sketch, could be a drawing, could be some action. All these must serve in connecting the audience understanding with what you want to display or with what you want to convey. Convey, understand. These two must run parallel. Whatever you are conveying, if people cannot understand, or if people are understanding more than what you are trying to convey, you are failing as a presenter. So therefore, if you really want to be a good presenter, balancing all these: content, delivery, audience, plus aids. I repeat, content, delivery, audience, plus aid. When these four are well balanced, only then you can be able to give a good presentation. Finally, to end up this particular session, I reiterate whatever we have discussed since yesterday. If you are talking about a good presentation with or without visual aids, please remember your idea is very important. Your content is very important. If you do not have the command over your content, you're going to fail. Know what you want to present. How are you going to identify what is the content? Based on your audience. So know who your audience is. Understand their level. What is it that they like? Say, for example, if I am conducting a training session for a kid who is 6 years old or between the age group of 6 to 9, I'm not going to use slides. Instead of that, I prefer using animated videos. I prefer using different language. I may not be using English. I may be using English with some other way or mode of communication. Could be through rhymes, could be through singing song, could be through certain gesture or posture, wherein my audience can hook up with my thought process. Similarly, if they are adult, if they are pretty mature, I need to judge what their level of understanding is and then accordingly present my opinion. And then please remember, visual aids will only help you to create a good understanding in the mind of the audience, but only when you are using the right image. Now, it cannot happen that you are downpouring lots of information in your slide, which you are finding it difficult to convey. Listen to me carefully. If the slide is a complex one, which common man cannot understand, too tough for a presenter to hold the attention of the audience. Therefore, always remember your slides should be simple, easy, clear to interpret by the audience. In case if you want to convey even the complex information, say for example, something which is very difficult to understand, and you want to create a right impact of that complex information in the mind of the audience, then use the tables, use graph, use diagrams, use charts, so that the complex information can be easily interpreted, can be easily understood, can be easily assimilated in the mind of the audience, and that compilation of the understanding level increases. Please remember this. Please apply this whenever you are going to give the presentation. Complex information can be easily presented through images. Complex ideas, complex concepts can be very easily interpreted in the form of the image. I want you to recall, how many of you remember water cycle, the concept of water cycle? Quickly in the chat box, I want to see how many of you still remember the concept of water cycle. Do you remember the concept of water cycle? When you remember the concept of water cycle, you will see that our teachers, they might have drawn the cloud, the sun rays, the sun at one end, clouds at other end, the sun ray falling on water that is collected either in the form of pond, river, ocean, or sea, wherever it is, rays falling, then water getting converted into water vapor, which is shown in the form of waves. Then it gets compiled in the form of cloud. Clouds, they can hold the water to a limited extent, and again they fall back in the form of rain. Do you remember this complete process of precipitation? Do you remember water cycle? Right? Now imagine such a complex thing. If a teacher without this diagram or without this video or without this image, if he or she is talking about water cycle, do you think students will understand about water cycle? My intake is no, they cannot. But very complex information, very easily interpreted and displayed to the students with the help of one single image. That is the power of visual aids. You should know what is the aid that you are using. While using aids, I repeat, know the source. Go for only free sources. Say, for example, when you are using an image, you should know whether you have the right to use the image or not. Are you are you getting under the wrong way of using the images? Are they plagiarized? Do they have any copyright issues? So don't copy and paste any image. Check for the information. whether they are free to use or not, whether the image that you are using is its size good one or a bad one, whether the pixel is good one or bad one. The image cannot be blurred. The pixel should not break. You have to work out on these skills too. So go into the setting whenever you are downloading any image. Go into its setting, check what is the setting talking or displaying, whether it is free to use or requires permission. If it requires permission, you can always get the permission from the owner of the image. Or in case if you have to pay it. Otherwise, try to use only free images. Whenever we are talking about tables, charts, and all, very important thing which every one of you must remember, source should be clearly mentioned. If you do not mention the source from where you have collected the table, again, you are committing a crime. As a person who's going to present, you should remember these basic tips and techniques of using the visual aid. Otherwise, tomorrow, people may challenge you all. So, therefore, source important to know. Settings, find out whether it is free to use image or paid one. Whenever you are using any image, know whether it is a good image or the image that you're going to display will break once when you're going to display it on big screen. So therefore, try to use settings and tools under the segment image in a proper way. Finally, the last the parting message related to presentation for today's class. I want you all to understand that whenever we talk about presentation or whenever we are talking about information, please remember it's very important that what you are presenting is meant for the audience. Whatever you are going to present is meant for the audience. So, font size matters a lot. Background color and font color matters a lot. I'm not talking a lot about these because you all are using presentation skills or you all are using PowerPoint aid since ages. So I need not talk at length about these. That's the reason I did not touch these points. But whenever we are displaying in a big on a big screen in a hall, always remember the audience who are sitting in the last benches, even they are the one who are eagerly waiting for your knowledge and information. So it is your responsibility to check and see the one who are sitting at the corners and on the last benches, can they see the displayed information exactly in the same way the one who are viewing it by sitting on the first bench? If you can keep these things in your mind, it will be easy for you to create a right long lasting impact on the mind of the audience. Animations, do use them in a proper judgmental way. Font size, color combinations, and then animation. These three, I certainly believe you all know how to use aptly. So therefore, I'm not going to speak at length, but I really want you all to work on images, tables, because these are the days where people talk about infographic, where people are waiting to know from the presenter about the information, but along with infographic. So how do we present our infographic? What are the ways of using infographic? That is what I wanted to convey in today's session. That's all from my side. I quickly now want to know, is there anything else that you wanted to know? Are there any questions that you want to ask? I'm open up for a small discussion before I say Thank you very much. Please, any questions that you have in your mind, anything that you would like to ask? A quick feedback related to today's session, please. Was that really informative? Could you understand how to use infographic? Will you be now using infographic instead of using the wordy, long, lengthy sentences? What is your takeaway? Was this session helpful or not? Thank you, Lavanya, for sharing that. That yes, you enjoyed, like always. You have always mentioned that you enjoyed these session and it was informative. Deepika also mentioned that this was an helpful information for her too. Thank you, Deepika. Thank you, Lavanya. Thanks, Tamil, for that information to you. That it was an informative session and exciting presentation topics. Yes, of course, your friends they have rocked, and especially I must thank all the participants because this is what we need to understand. If we start, we can reach to the end. When we do not start, there cannot be any end. So you all have started to develop yourself. Keep rocking, keep doing wonderful things. And in next session, we are going to talk about the basic business communicators challenges. What are the challenges that we face in communication? And that would be the end of business communication introductory session on Saturday. One more session would be there on Sunday, wherein on Saturday you can let me know, or probably by email you can share me what are the topics that you're looking forward to know more, so that I can cater, I can leave a Sunday to help you people understand and improve. All right. Thank
Ma'am,
you very much.
ma'am,
Yes, Deepika.
I want to
Yes.
share one thing, ma'am. One quote is there, picture speaks thousand words. Okay, so
Correct.
as Mark Twain once said, if you want me to give a 2 hours presentation, I'm ready today. But if you want only a 2 minute speech, it will take 2 weeks to prepare. Why? Because it's
Absolutely.
yes, ma'am. Why? Because it's infinitely harder to communicate ideas and make an impact in a shorter space of time. So yesterday, when you have given us to give a presentation, I struggled a lot. Literally, I struggled a lot in the morning. In the morning, till from completion of the class to till 3 o'clock in the morning. I struggled a lot, and I pictured that presentation. Just I want to share that with all the students who actually I suppose that who all the girls need to aspire to make a mark in the field of their future. So that's the thing, ma'am. I really appreciate you, ma'am, for giving that to do for us. Thank you a lot, ma'am.
Wonderful, wonderful. I must, you have really overwhelmed me because this is a beautiful statement and remark that you have stated, and rightly stated by Mark Twain. He said so because if you remember when we were talking about good writing skills, I said, and then this is the quote that I have quoted. This was the line that I have put in my presentation, saying that it's easy to write long answers when compared to writing one meaningful short sentence. Beautifully ended. Thank you very much. God bless you all. And I again request you all to share via email, or you can ask, you can share it with Deepika, and Deepika can let me know that what all topics do you think I must emphasize on next Sunday. Of course, on Saturday, I'm going to talk about the challenges that the communicators face, and we are going to have a session on pronunciation. All right, because today again I see pronunciation was bit issue. So therefore, I'm going to talk about phonetics. I'm going to talk about phonology. I'm going to talk about how do we correct our pronunciation, because writing is very easy, but when we are speaking, we have to really look who are the audience, what are they understanding, whether they can understand my speech properly or not. And these things can be improved only when you know about the phonetics. All right. So next week we are going to have lots of practice sessions. So have double breakfast and then be ready for next class. Till then, take good care of yourself, take good care of your family. All the best to each one of you in your life. God bless you all. I end up my session with this today. Thank you. See you all next week.